with Sly being an actor actually makes him a better director. And I think also being a director makes him a better actor.
We all got our gear on, and he came up and he went, okay, take that off, that off, that off, that off. These guys are gonna die if you don't make it lighter. You know, he knew what we were gonna be going through physically, and a lot of directors wouldn't even think about that. But he knew what it takes, you know, to do a physical role in that way.
Whoa! He's lived with this character for 25 years. I mean, he knows where John Rambo is coming from. And when you do a scene with him as an actor, he's right there. You just follow his lead, basically.
The main thing was, as a director, to get them comfortable, to know that you have incredible confidence in them, and have them go through a very, very light rehearsal, 1, 2, 3 times. You get the blocking, you give them your notes at that moment, then step back and you join them as an actor. You're out of it as a director now. You're no better, no worse than them. You're one of the players.
Action. Eva, they're tracking us.
They're on our scent. Turn around.
What are you doing?
I want you to head southeast of the river, and the boat will be waiting. If it's not there, you can follow the shoreline till it finds you.
What about you?
Where does this man find the time and the energy to do what he does? He would be Rambo, he would act as Rambo for however many hours a day, and he would direct for the remainder of the day. He'd watch dailies on the way back to his hotel and also during lunch. Every morning that people showed up on the set, there were rewrites that Sly had composed the night before. And he maintained that on a daily basis. And I think it absolutely, viscerally, necessarily raised everyone to that level. I mean, and he made it abundantly clear that everyone better rise to that level too.
Get good to him.
This shit hurts.
Yeah, man.
But he's got to come in hard on him. I tell actors what I tell myself. I know you're tired. I know maybe you're burnt out. You may even be distracted. And you're not in the moment at all. You're just working on pure technique. Emotionally, you may be dried up. But just take a moment and really embrace the fear of knowing that 10 years from now, 20 years from now, you're gonna be watching this and you're gonna be very, very unhappy that you didn't dig down and try to get more out of yourself, and know that this moment comes one time. I know you're tired, I know you're beat up, but you still have the resources to pull something out if you really want it.
So working with him as an actor, immediate rewards, because he'll give right back to you. I mean, you're here, you're on the set, you're working, you're past the point of question now. Now it's give me what I know you're gonna give me, and I'm gonna give it back to you immediately. As a director, he can be much, much harder, but as a director, he's wearing a different hat.
So we're talking about taking fear of failure and fear of a bad performance and using it to promote a good performance.
Yeah, it works. Believe me, it works.
You know, the fact was, if he's Rambo for, 8 hours, then the next 8 hours, he might not be wearing the scarf around his head, but there's still a lot of Rambo in that man.
Eat. Shit, you missed
Hey,
the whole
hey,
fucking
hey,
game.
hey,
Go again, more. Oh, good.
What the fuck is going on here? We heard a lot of that on the set.
Sometimes it works. Most of the time it works. Sometimes it doesn't. But I've never met an actor yet, or a director, by and large, that wouldn't go back and change their performance. Never.
He's a very tough guy, and he expects everybody to be as tough as he is, which is a lot to ask, So you have to kind of psych yourself up for that.
Okay, let's go!
I was 170 pounds when I talked to Sly, and the first thing he said to me was, you're too skinny. If you come in at 170 pounds in 2 weeks, you're gonna be 160, you're gonna get sick and I'm gonna lose you. You gotta gain weight. Being so excited to work with Sly, I put on 30 pounds inside of 6 weeks. Went from 170 to about 200 pounds, thinking what a great visual thing this is gonna be, and then getting there and realizing I was lugging around an extra 30 in the heat was like, ugh, what a terrible mistake,
Let's play soldier, shall we?
From the minute I got the phone call about the meeting, I hit the gym hard. I mean, I thought, if I'm even thinking about attempting to do an action movie, and granted, I was playing a missionary, so I didn't have to do much fancy stuff. You know, I didn't have to be in like uber buff shape or any of that, like some of the mercenaries had to be. But I did know that it was going to be a very grueling shoot.
I've done some explosions. That's right up there. Jesus. Paul still hasn't come back. There he is. You almost did it. You almost got away with it.
What do you mean?
Well, on the way down, you couldn't help yourself.
Get the fuck out of here.
I'm sorry. You want to hear the truth?
Yes.
I also asked him one day, I said, you know, when you directed Rocky, do you think you were a little less intense because you were Rocky during the times that you were acting? And he actually thought about it, and he said, yeah, you know, I think it was a lot different. The set was a lot calmer. The shoot was a lot easier.
As any producer will tell you, especially when you're filming in jungle settings, it was a struggle just to keep the everyday production going.
We had a crew of 560 people. That's gigantic. I don't know if I've ever worked with a crew any bigger than that.
We probably had 450 Thai crew members, along with 80 foreign crew members from the United States, Canada, the UK.
It was the toughest film I've ever been involved with.
It was almost like a military operation.
So let me just put this in perspective. It's hell, but fun.
When you work with Sly, you depend a lot of him because he's really the writer, he's the director, he's really the producer at the end of the day because we give him full control.
Working with Avi Lerner and John Feldheim at Lionsgate, I felt as though from the beginning that we were able to be a bit more freer than actually working within the studio system. Well, call it the studio system. It was more of a handmade film. It's almost, I guess, going back to the way the independents felt in the late 60s when they're doing Easy Rider and just winging it, just taking chances. Logic be damned.
The success of First Blood was based on it being the most realistic of all. And I think he wanted to go back to that authenticity in this film of the first one. I know First Blood is his best Rambo picture. And I think he believes that too. Even though number 2 was the most successful and the most commercial, I think the roots in the first one laid the groundwork for the franchise.
Of course, I'm very proud to be part of this, but at the end of the day, we are just a filmmaker. We just want to show the world what's happening in a place that nobody knows what's going to there.
First and foremost, one has to be honest, it is a piece of entertainment. That's what it's there for, and people go to that film to be entertained. Beyond that, if even only a few people learn about it and think, I want to do something about this, even in a small way, then it will have had an extraordinary achievement other than simply fulfilling the remit of being an action movie.
You always think that maybe you can use the medium of films or whatever your art is to try to help bring this to attention. Is it going to end anything? No, I don't have any illusions about that, but an awareness factor, and hopefully it takes on a life of its own. It's tremendous, tremendous commitment to an ideal and to a project that you respect.